Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the new Abnormal Getting Back on Track webinar series, brought to you by MT Exhibitors and co-organized by the Small and Medium Enterprise Association, Samantha, the Singapore Industrial Automation Association, which is SIAA, and the Malaysia Automation Technology Association, which is MATA, together with our technical partner, IFNISIS. This is a new series of live conversations designed to address critical issues that SME face getting back on track post-COVID. Of course, we understand that COVID is a scenario that everyone's facing globally nowadays, and it's actually take a huge impact to our economy. It's not only in Malaysia, but globally, everyone is facing a challenge. So analyzing practical options and solutions on the ground and navigation of how to move forward together, it's actually the objective of tonight webinar. To do this, let's hear from the experts. We will have two expertise in HR tonight, which is Aru. He used to work in the Infineon, which is the semiconductor arm of Siemens last time. And as well as we have got Shafiq. He used to work in the Lafarge, which is the one of the global largest cement company on earth right now. So today we have the topic of the HR battle, whether to cut or to capitalize post-COVID. Of course, we understand that a lot of company actually facing the challenge of cash flow management. So one of the many options that the business owner would think about is actually to lay off or to cut short of the workforce. Well, we understand that it could be a quick fix. However, it may not be a long-term solution if the business were to come back fast enough and you have not enough headcount to really execute the job. So today we're happy to present our webinar with our two esteemed speakers that will share with us what are the rest of the option. Instead of just letting go people, what else can we do as a business owner, and what are the rest of the options to really manage and handle the situation in the right way that we can comply to what the government asks for, and what's the Malaysia HR regulation is actually require us to do in the practice. Okay, as we all read from the news, Malaysia is now facing the most challenging economic impact from the COVID pandemic situation, as it is an unavoidable issue. As a business owner or a decision maker in the company, you may start to think of the survival skill. Tonight, we will present to you the options of how to go about to do the right thing, as well as what it is to do if you really have no choice but to let go of your people. So we truly understand the debate that you have in your own mind right now as an employer who truly value the contribution and loyalty of your team, who built your corporate empire successfully together with you in the long journey. So you wouldn't want to lay off your people just like that in the blink of eyes if you have a choice. So however, you need to keep your company staying alive. So knowing your battle in mind, we here would like to hear two sides of the debate, where Aru tonight we're taking the perspective of cutting the workforce portion, where Shafiq will actually share with you the option of retaining your people with a different way to handle that. Yeah. So now let's the battle begin. So we will first like to invite Aru to share with us his point of view, how we're able to cut the workforce in the right way. That because we don't want to just focus on cutting people by saving X amount, of course, at the end of the day, you invite yourself a lawsuit that will even impact you with a long-term suffer of even a larger amount of lump sum to pay for in the lawsuit. So now let's all put together a big welcome to have Aru to speak for us right now. Thank you. Aru, here you go. Over to you.
Thanks, Joey, for having me here today. So to the participants, my name is Arul, and I'm just going to share with you a couple of info and couple of ideas on how should you carefully and safely downsize your company. Whether to downsize completely or to reduce a little. So now, I mean, we all know that COVID has presented us a very different scenario that companies have never seen before. It is common to see companies downsizing, shutting down their business, etc. But those are regular situations. Here, COVID came all of a sudden, no warning, no signal, and we all know, it is time to do something. So, what has COVID done to companies today? COVID has left a little bit of damage to many companies, where companies need to respond. How do they now move forward, given the downsize of economy, given the dropping customer order, etc. So companies today, they need to look at how should they deal with the present situation, yet still allowing themselves some room to continue to manage their operations. But we know this is not easy. When I speak to many companies today, not everyone has the luxury to stay afloat. Companies have a cash crunch. They just don't have enough funds to continue operating. So what companies has got to do today, look into what you have, look into what the future allows you to do, so respond to it. Now we know once you have downsized, you need to recover. So when you recover, we need to learn from what has happened so that we can emerge stronger. And subsequently, if the company managed to stay afloat, we now need to prepare to shape for tomorrow. So the new normal that that is presented to a company, it is equally challenging. It is not as easy as we just stay cool, stay put, and recover. No, companies may have to review their operations. They may have to review their operating mechanism, operating systematics, so that they can thrive in the new norm. So later, my colleague Shafiq, he is going to share with you on what company could do to thrive moving forward. So there's three options that company have today. Uh, this is not rocket science. So of course, the first option for company, if they really cannot manage it anymore, the company will have to close down. But the other option that company have is to downsize. There is no need to shut down completely because they still have a little bit of going concern, but they need to reduce their manpower. They need to reduce costs. And of course, for some companies, we know that companies like glove companies, they are doing very well today. In fact, they are not downsizing, they are not closing down, they are actually expanding. So for companies that need to downsize, there's three things that company has got to do: reorganize, recover, and repurpose. We know that the COVID has also presented companies with new opportunities. So there are companies who has gone into manufacturing sanitizers. There's also companies has gone into manufacturing face masks, for example. So these are opportunities that is presented to company. So repurpose your objectives. Look into what are the other businesses that you could do within your limited capacity, within your limited capability today, so that when the new norm continues forward, companies still have a purpose to continue operating. So these are some immediate steps that companies could take. This was a study done by Deloitte. So there are 8 steps that company could take. The first is to establish a business response and business continuity plan. So when we say business response, is how the business is going to respond towards the new situation and how do they continue forward. Confirm the critical roles and ensure that the company has backup plans. Evaluate the actual work of the company and how it might be changed or how it has changed over the last couple of months. What is mission critical for the company? What can be deferred? What can be deprioritized? And develop a plan for your workforce. Now, point number 6, 7, and 8 it's also equally crucial. companies that need to downsize, they need to now, from X number of companies, we need to let go of X number of them. How do we now reduce our labor? What strategy should we apply? How do we comply with the labor regulations? So this is to prepare ourselves for the slowdown. In fact, we are already in the slowdown mode at this moment. And companies should also prepare plans for site disruption. There's going to be changes to the operating norms. We will not be able to operate the way we have been operating for the last couple of years. So there's going to be some disruption at site. And how do we reactivate our business? And last but not least, with the new shrinking workforce that the company would have to go through, how do we develop workforce and labor plans? And companies would have to do scenario analysis. So today we have got X number of people. Moving forward with the new scenario, with a lesser headcount, how do we continue our business operations? So these are some areas that companies have got to do. So later, we'll discuss further on a more detailed approach on the legal aspect as well as business aspect. So let's hear from my colleague Shafiq. He has got more to share with you on how companies could capitalize with this situation today. Thanks, Joey.
Shabir. Mute. No, cannot hear. Joey, you're muted. Joey, you're muted.
So yeah, thanks Arul for sharing. So yeah, let's hear from Shafiq of the other option of retaining people. So I went to the HR minister in Putrajaya a couple of weeks ago. Ironically, they were saying that, hey, nowadays that the IR cases is lining up like a long queue, that people been suffering. How are we going to clear the IR cases in court right now? Because too many employers would they choose to let go of their people. So now instead of really think of letting go of your valuable workforce, what are the rest of the option? Now, I even heard of a very interesting example that one of the sales office in Malaysia for the MNC company, that they actually motivated their local team with the option of pay cut. Yeah, you hear me well, pay cut. So they actually offer a cut of salary of about 30 to 40% in different level of people, giving them a target to achieve in order to get the business back on track. So as soon as the business is resumed back into what they've targeted before prior to COVID, the company is actually going to pay them a gratuity. So they're actually going to earn even more than what they used to be before the COVID. So it's a lot of interesting options. So let's hear it from Shafiq. We're excited to learn of what are the rest of the way to really handle this instead of letting people go. Let's put a big hand together. Let's welcome Shafiq. Hi, Shafiq. Good evening.
Hi, Joey. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Today, I'm about to share with you why you should capitalize instead of cutting. So I'll very quickly go to my slide here, as you can see. Now, I'll start with this question: is downsizing the answer? All right, and then I'll start I will give you another question to ponder while we go to the rest of the session with me. Your human resource or your employees is the most important resource in any organization. I'm sure you will agree with me. So why would you want to take them away? When you talk about downsizing, it is all about taking away your human resource or taking away your employees. So why would you want to take them away? I will. Hang on. Okay, so that generally businesses believe that there are only two ways of making money. You know, when you start a business, two ways of making money. First, cutting costs, keeping your costs down, or secondly, increasing your revenue, jacking up your sales. So this is general belief among business community. I don't deny that, you know, but if you cut cost, in this case, if you cut your payroll, or specifically if you cut your employees so that there will be very less in the payroll, you will assume that everything else being equal, your business will be able to continue to reduce costs. So the mathematical equation, cut the payroll, no more less salary, and business will be able to reduce costs. The important thing to remember here is everything else being equal, your business will be able to reduce cost. But in difficult times, normal times is okay, but when it is difficult times, companies will look at employees as a cost, and they will not look at employees as somebody who is going to create value for you. You know, so remember, companies look at you as a cost and not look at employees as a cost and not as something that or a group that can bring value. So when you downsize, you actually lose that value because everything else do not remain equal. Remember the earlier equation, you assume everything being equal, but actually when you cut down on your people, you reduce the cost for sure, but everything else do not remain equal anymore. So the benefits you think you would have got from a downsizing, you will not actually get it. Yeah, for a few reasons that I've listed in blue below. You have fewer people. Supposing it's you cut down on your sales, you will have fewer sales to make. Supposing you cut down on your production, you will have fewer products to produce, or your research staff will not be innovative and come up with newer products. Supposing there is a drop in productivity, definitely there will be a drop in productivity here, because when you cut, you will cut along with them good performers. And even if you don't cut the good performers, believe me, good performers will leave your organization because of the low morale. Something that organizations always forget, when you hire employees, there is a moral contract which says that you are going to hire them and let them work with you forever, for as long as they want. That's the moral contract when the employer hires an employee. But when you downsize, these people feel that you have not kept your part of this contract. Employees sometimes believe they have been betrayed. So definitely there will be a drop in morale. So other neighboring company cut, you also want to cut. You know, if somebody wants to cut, you also cut. So that is what happens in many cases. It's not you have not really researched and done it. Yeah. So, and you have not changed any business processes. So with the same amount of with the same amount of work, you will be having less people to do it, and you will surely have employee burnout and cases like this. And don't forget, don't underestimate the damage downsizing will do to your company culture. Yeah, a huge damage will be done. And finally, the effect of your downsizing on other stakeholders that you have, your customer, your suppliers, your community. Will they be able to, will they want to support you later on when business recover? I'm sure they will have their stories to tell to you as well. You know, their sort of betrayal stories. And finally, just to tell you to consider capitalizing, what you should do is, if the downturn is permanent, the main option for you is to retrain your employees and develop new lines of businesses, right? However, which is now we are coming to this most important thing. If it is temporary, then brainstorm with your employees. They probably know ways to cut costs more than you. Yeah, I'm not saying you as the business owner don't have this info, but they probably have many other info which you can bring up from them. Then use this slowdown period. Use your employees to revamp your filing system. Business is down, nothing much to do. Do your housekeeping, fine-tune your SOPs. You will know how important and how useful this will be later on. Reduce and cut travel entertainment. Cut down company events, family day, important, but can put for a later day. Freeze increment. Again, increment is important, but you can hold it for a later day. Deploy your employees to other areas of your business. Allow shorter working week, so you pay them less. Work from home. You don't have to incur electricity and water from the office. And finally, time off or unpaid leave for the employees. Again, you get to lower their salaries a bit, but you do not lower other if significant benefits like medical and so on. So these are some of the strategies that is recommended by the Society for Human Resource Management, one of the largest societies for human resource personnel in the world, right? So Joey, that's from me for now. Back to you. Joey, you're muted, Joey.
Okay. Thanks, Shafiq, for sharing with us the rest of the option instead of letting people go. So, yeah, maybe after hearing from both the speaker, Aru, as well as Shafiq, you may have some question in mind that you'd like to ask them how to go about to really do what they mentioned, either be it of letting go people, how to do it the correct way. Well, of course, you can pose your question to Aru. Now, our team will post the link here that you can actually click the link to Slido and post your question there. We will attend to it right away. Now, if you like to know how to really retain people, of course, Shafiq can suggest you many different options as well. So let's hear from the audience. So please feel free to click the link that our team going to post right now in the Slido and post your question right there, right? Now, let's move forward to the next portion of our webinar after we have heard from both the speaker. So the next chapter that we're going to move forward is actually the poll question. So let's see on the screen right now that we will have two poll questions for you to choose from. Of course, this is actually the objective to engage the speaker presentation point of view, to reach out to the crowd and hear from what the crowd would think. So as the participant, you can now have three options to choose from on each of the poll questions. So now we are more than happy to hear from you. What would you think after hearing from the speaker of both the point of view of cutting staff as well as keeping them as capitalizing? So the first question is, which do you think is the most important factor when a company consider retrenchment? Is it assistance to affected employees, or choice 2 is explore all other cost reduction options first, or finally is compliance to labor regulations? So you have three options to choose from. We're more than happy to hear it from you. Please click the link at the slido.com, as you can see right there, to choose your option so that we can hear your vote and attend it right away. Now, while you're busy voting, let's hear from the speaker once again. Now, let's invite Aru. Hi, Aru. Thanks for sharing with us for the cut option. Now, of course, in Aru previous employment history that he have engaged, he have seen the economy downturn before. That we all know that the economy have a cycle of 10 to 15 years of a downturn. So in the previous economy downturn cycle, what have you observed, Aru, that the previous employer or some of the industry people who have been practicing the right way of letting people go, or such as VSS, MSS, and whatnot? So maybe you can share a little on those, Aru?
Yeah, Joey, thanks a lot. So when company faces a situation where they cannot operate as usual, the business is not doing well, there's lesser order from customers, revenue is dropping, profits are dropping, etc. There is a set protocol by the issued by the government, which is the Labour Ministry. They have detailed out some guidance what companies should do. So retrenching an employee should always be the last option. So there is a document called Code of Conduct for Industrial Harmony, where the HR Ministry has given guidelines to companies. What should you do prior to retrenching your workforce. So cost cutting has got to take place first. Reduction of benefits, just like what Shafiq has shared just now. Reduction of benefits, reduction of travel, probably reduce overtime. Look at unnecessary costs that a company has incurred. Stop those costs, etc. Now, once all those activities has been done, uh, and if the company still cannot manage financially, they're still disturbed, they're still distressed, then yes, go for retrenchment. So companies have got to prove that they are really in a dire situation. Therefore they need to undertake retrenchment exercise. Now again, when a company wants to retrench, they must also notify the labor department 30 days ahead of retrenchment date that okay, we are going to retrench. How many people? What are their current positions? What's their salary like? When is the last day, etc. So these protocols or these guidelines has got to be followed by companies. So failing which company is breaking the labor regulations. So which we also do not want to do that. So coming back to the main part of this thing is companies should not rush to downsize by retrenching employees. Look at various other cost cutting measures before looking at retrenchment.
Totally
Okay.
agree. Totally agree. Because you see, we read from the news that the COVID vaccine is coming up soon, right? I mean, hopefully, finger crossed that there's a success thing to happen in the next a month or two. So as a business owner or the employer, you never know when is the business going to resume back to normal. So if you were to let people go too soon, without exploring other options, like what I would say, it's a sad thing that you may not able to really recruit and train people up to speed to live up to the competition if the economy is back again on track. So that's a pros and cons on it. So let's look at the vote right now. So we can see from the table right now, the top choice that everybody have voted is actually number one. So Aru, you have anything to say about the vote right now, as we can
Yes.
see from the table?
Yep. So now I would agree with these answers given by our participants. So what companies should always do is look at do whatever necessary to reduce costs. Now sometimes when we retrench an employee, we may let go of people that has been with us for years. As what Shafiq has mentioned earlier on, these are all well trained employees. They know your culture. They know your how you operate, etc. They are so removing employees should always be the last option, especially if these employees are valuable employees, they are well trained, because we do not know when business will come back to normal. For example, we all have been hearing stories about vaccine, Russia, China, etc. So let's see if this vaccine reality comes through. Uh, businesses recover. So if companies have gone on to retrench their employees, now they need to rehire, and retrenchment is also not a cheap exercise. There's going to be a retrenchment benefit paid, which can also cost company a lot of money. So I would agree with this survey that participants have responded to explore all other cost reduction options first.
Yeah. Okay. So the vote is a good choice. Thanks for voting for all. Now, of course, after we look at the first poll question, let's proceed to the question number two for the poll right now. So we'll move to question number two on the poll. So let's look at the screen right now. Now, again, you can join us at slido.com to vote. If you have not voted for question number one, please now sign in to slido.com and vote for question number two. Now, we will look at question number two right now. If we can have the screen to post on the question number two. Okay, now of course, while we're waiting for the technical team to put up the screen, we would like to hear from Shafiq as well. Now, retaining people, it's actually a good thing to do. However, a lot of people were debating that, hey, if my business is not going to survive for another month, how am I going to keep the people? Because it's going to be a heavy overhead cost, or it's actually a fixed cost that I have to bear with if the business is not coming in. So that's a huge debate right there. So how are we going to manage that aspect from a point of view? Shafiq, if you'd like to share with us.
Yeah, thanks, Joey. I would say that if your business is so bad that you cannot continue, cannot sustain, again, have your employees in your heart. Okay, keep them, their um, keep their needs the most important of all needs. Right. So what you should do is, in this kind of situation, bring them together, do a mini town hall where all your employees are together, and tell them without hiding any facts, be very, very transparent with them. Tell them that, look, this is the situation that our company is facing right now. I'm sure even before you call them for this town hall, they would probably already know the company is uh, in in uh, uh, in a storm. A storm is coming, and it's very rocky. They will know, but they would not probably know the whole truth. They may not have all the information. So bring them together, tell them what is going on with the company, and tell them what you foresee can happen. Now, when you are truthful to people, when you tell them honestly the real situation, people will understand. When you tell your employees, look, we are very in such a bad position that we cannot go on anymore. So the options that you have, they could actually give you so many suggestions on what to do. They may even suggest, wholesomely, every one of them may suggest, why don't we all take 1, 2, 3 months of no pay leave, and we let the bosses or the management explore the options of what else they can do to make sure the company can get back on its foot. Now, the beauty of having a decision like this, a joint decision with your employee, is once you are ready to implement the suggestion, the best suggestion, but of course the suggestion must also meet the needs of your company to continue, right? So once you have this best suggestion in place, you will find that it is so easy to implement it because it comes from your employees themselves.
Totally.
It comes, yeah. So how easy how you would solve this problem overwhelmingly, Joey. So this is my first take on your question.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, ironically, people even hands up their volunteers say, hey, can you take my pay card? It's like, wow, I
Right.
will remain in the job.
Exactly.
So please
Yeah.
do not lay me off, but I would like to remain in the job and give me a pay card. I volunteer
Mm,
for whatever pay card that you name for it. So
mm,
you never know that that could be an option as well. Yeah, totally agree. So now
mm.
we have the second poll question on the screen right now. So let me quickly just read through it. A parent company is downsizing, but has a sister company in a totally different line of business, which is doing very, very well financially and still recruiting to meet operation requirement. Which do you think is best option for the company to do? Is it to transfer employee to sister company for option one, or for option two, inform retrenched employee about vacancy in sister company and ask if they're interested to transfer, downsize without transfer to sister company? So let's see the vote right now. Shafiq, as you can
Yeah.
see on the screen now,
Mm,
the top
mm.
choice is actually
Right.
number one. Of course, we see up and down because this is a live vote. So
Mm.
we have some people voting in later,
Still voting.
or
Yeah.
yeah, or still trying to decide what to vote. So it's a
Mm.
little up and down between option one and option two. Nobody choosing option three for sure. So
Right.
what do you think about the vote of option one and option two that you can see right there?
I really agree with the audience's choice of voting for option one, which is transfer employees to a sister company, which is doing well. Now, legally, in an organization which has subsidiaries, the sister company or the subsidiary company is a different entity. Okay, it's totally different entity, and there is no legal obligation for the company which is doing poorly to transfer the employees that they want to retrench to the sister company. Okay, so that one we must be very clear. Legally, there is no obligation, but these are your people. These are the people who have uh, uh, produced blood and sweat for you. Some of them may be long serving employees, 20 years, 30 years, as my experience with my previous organization. We even have 40 years. So if you know the sister company is having vacancies, why not go over, talk to management, and see how you can absorb as many as possible employees from your company, which are going to retrench these people, to the sister company. So of course, I will say here that perhaps not all employees can be transferred to sister company, because sister company is as the question says, in a different line of business. But I'm sure there are many employees in your company who has the basic skills, who are learners, who can pick up new knowledge rather easily, and they can be, in fact, they can be a good asset to the sister company which is recruiting. So why should you recruit from outside when you can recruit from within your family? Sister company is still the same family. So I believe the audience had made a really good choice, uh, uh, and ask them to apply if you're interested. So you see, when you ask them to apply, it also makes the initiative on their side. Some may say, no, I don't want to apply. So probably that would be their reason to say, okay, I'm ready to leave this organization. Subconsciously, that is their decision. They don't want to apply, so they are ready to leave the organization. But for those who apply, you use your management to management discussions and have them absorbed, as many of them as possible, to the sister company. So that's my take on it, Joey.
Thank you for sharing, Shafiq. That's a very good point. So yeah, after we hear from the audience of your vote, and as well as we hear from the speaker on what the audience have voted, so let's move forward to the next chapter that in our webinar. Now, the next chapter we need to move forward is the case study. Of course, now, as the current situation of COVID, and we read from the newspaper that it's a downturn of economy because our GDP have not been meeting its target for both the Q2 and Q3 for this year. I mean, that's sad to say. And of course, some economies even mentioned that as a long-term projection, you may only see that the economy were to catch up again in another year or two. Now, that's a sad thing to say. However, as an SME, in order to survive and sustain the business, there are many ways to do. So let's see from the case study that we have here. So we can see here on the screen, there is a case that we can actually hear from both sides of the speaker. Of course, everything have both sides of, as in every coin have two sides of it. So let's see how we can look at this case and hear from the speaker. Now, an SME was badly affected after the temporary closure of its core business during the MCO. The company immediately took measure to conserve cash flow for the business continuity and prevent further drastic measures such as closure of some of the units and downsizing. This includes cutting salary and allowances, cutting unnecessary expenses, postponing, canceling, budgeting capital expenditure or investment. The company promised to discontinue the cost-cutting measures and to reinstate the salary and monthly allowance once recovery is good enough. Now, the thing is that, are they able to see how soon the recovery, so all cost-saving measures could be extended? Now, despite best effort due to further extension of the MCO, as we can see, the MCO have extended 3 times. So everyone to realize it's a 14 days a tenure, and the 14 days times 3 as we experienced previously. So the company is not able to see the sustainability and now deciding whether some of the division need to be downsized or having any retrenchment of excess employee or whether there are any needs to have any other immediate options available. So let's hear from the cut portion. So Aru, what do you think on this case that we have been given from the cut point of view? What should the employer do that from your view of cutting, if you may suggest them to do?
Well, so in this case, looks like the company has done all the necessary steps, which is to cut costs and reduce their operating expenses, expenditure, and whatnot. So what I think company could do at this moment is they have no options left. The way the case is posed to us, so they have no options left. Every prerequisite for a company to downsize has been done. So it looks like the company may have no choice but to start trimming their workforce to a level where it is enough to continue operating, where they can afford to payroll this group of employees. So this is where I remember Shafiq made this point much earlier on. If the company could still manage it somehow to keep these employees in place, we do not know when business will recover. What happens if business recover 2 months down the road? So company is going to retrench an employee is also not a cheap exercise. Retrenching employees could cost companies tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands or even millions if they have large workforce. So if the company could look at many options, so instead of retrenching, companies could also go for a no pay leave, which many have done. A prolonged no pay leave, maybe a 3 months no pay leave, or reduction of salary. I know a local airline company have reduced salary up to 70%. So these are options that company could take before saying goodbye to their employees. These are guys who have been with you for years. You have trained them. They know your culture. You know them, etc. Do you really want to lose these employees? Unless the business owner is clear that, okay, this is it. I cannot operate anymore. That's it. I'm going to just close shop, go home and retire, for example. So it's a call for the owner to make.
Yeah, I even see from the news that like since you mentioned airline, right? I read from the news like 2 days ago that Singapore Airline even offering a job portal option to their staff. It's an internal job portal. They're trying to help their staff to find temporary job because they actually encourage people to take no pay leave. So it's actually an option that you can take no pay leave for a month, up to 3 months or 6 months, and then they give you a job portal to land you on some job that potentially can get you some, well, it could be a lower income, lower salary, but still it will sustain you for a month or two, if you were to opt for that. So yeah, there are many ways to do that. So now let's hear from the capitalized option from Shafiq. Shafiq, so what do you suggest based on the case study we just saw on the screen?
I will also concur with Arul, Joey. Just hold your horses for a while. Do not let your employees go, because they're really assets. 30 years, 20 years, well trained. You'll never get them again once you let them go, because plenty of people outside in the market, even in different industries, would be waiting for them. So again, use this time. The no pay leave is actually a very beautiful idea. A prolonged no pay leave, 3 months if need be, 6 months if need be. Even 6 months is good because then those employees actually can plan something decent. They really have time to plan. Unlike if you say only 1 month of no pay leave, there's nothing much you can plan. But if 6 months no pay leave, they themselves actually can join with another relative or with another friend and run a small business, which can actually make some money for them and sustain them during this period of unemployment. Or maybe they want to go into the gig economy and they be Grab drivers, they be Grab food. No, but really, it's that we see so many people who were senior management in huge organizations, but when you need to do it, you need to do it because at the end of the day, you need to put the plate of rice on the table for your family. So employers who give this option to employees wholeheartedly say, okay, look, everybody, we will let you have this option to take 6 months no pay leave. You go and you do something. There's decent time for you to manage your affairs, to go into a business or to in fact do whatever else that you think you can do to gain this, to put some money on the table for your family. Go and do it. I'm all for it. And only when the 6 month period also passes and the company is still unable to continue, cash flow is very low, business is not improving, then you do. You have no choice. And again, the other thing that I want to add is, in the 6 months time, it will give the management team good enough time to rethink where their organization want to go. Many organizations have changed from there's one famous company in the midst of our economy, who moved from producing hard disk to face mask, and doing very well. So only the management just had to sit and think how they can reinvent their strategy to reorganize and go back to the next line of business, and then bring back all their employees.
Yeah,
They'll be happy to come back.
totally agree. It's also depends on how the business can be cope with the changes fast enough. I'm sure both Aru and Shafiq will agree with me that looking into the current pandemic situation, not that the market do not need anything. The market have a higher demand for face masks, like what you mentioned, and the ventilator as well. Yeah.
Yes.
So I've actually seen the real example for some E&E, which is electronic manufacturers, that they quickly switch the production line from producing IC chips to a ventilator. So it depends how fast you can actually go with the flow of what the market is really needed right now to really keep your people and your company afloat. Yeah. So yeah. On the other hand, we have heard enough from the both the poll as well as the case study. So let's move forward to the Q&A portion right now for our webinar right now. So now, again, let's remind you, you can actually put your question into the slido.com to either of our speaker, Aru or Shafiq, that we are more than happy to help you to answer your question if you like to know more about the HR practice. Now, we have seen some question here on the screen. So the first question is how to avoid laying off staff due to resizing. So maybe Shafiq can help to attend.
Sure, I can attend. Thank you, Joey. So as Mr. Tan, Senior GM of, got it wrong. Senior GM of Tan Chong Motors, I'm sorry. Yeah, how to avoid laying off staff due to resizing. Okay, I would suggest, just like how many bigger companies have done, I think Tan Chong Motors should look at how they can pivot their business from the current ones to something else. Something else, perhaps still in the automotive industry, but which is fitting to the market requirement at the moment. The other thing you could do is, in view of the many staff that you have, you could actually, I don't know if it's marketing that you want to do. If it's marketing that will help your company get more sales. If it's a sales problem, then a lot of staff there could be actually redeployed to do marketing job for you or sales job. You never know the people that you have, actually multi-skilled. They just don't want to show. Remember, I said human resource is your biggest resource, is your biggest asset. So the people that you have would have so many contacts in the industry, and they, if you want to do sales, they can be quite easily converted or retrained to be salespeople. I think that would be a very good option for the moment. But of course, instead of if that doesn't work, instead of laying off, you could go for this no pay leave or a reasonable salary cut. With the explanation to the staff that the company has no choice doing this, but business is so bad. This is our option other than having to lay off. We let you take a lower salary for the company to breathe and then get back into business.
Thanks, Shafiq, for sharing. Maybe Aru can suggest some of the options as well, because I'm sure that this is a good initiative if they ask this question, meaning they wouldn't want to lay off the people right from the beginning. So they want to see and explore what are the options, what else they can do instead of cutting off. So Aru, you have any suggestion that what can we do actually instead of laying off people for this case?
Yeah. Now, so Joey, you mentioned you started off saying, "What can we do?" Now, when I speak to some of the business owners, I always advise them this: try not to put the entire burden on your head. Yes, we know that you need to make the financials workable. You got to pay salaries, etc. Why not invite your employees, sit down with them, talk to them, ask them ideas, ask them what can we do. Is there something else that we can do today to bring in revenue? I believe these employees, as what Shafiq has shared a little bit just now, these employees may have some ideas and options. They may have some contacts out there that could be useful in a very critical situation that everybody is in right now. So talk to your employees, tell them, now we have got these resources available. What can we do? I'm sure the employees would also want to help the company back for all the good things the company has done for them, and also in a way help companies to stay afloat so that their job itself it is not sacrificed by the company. So sit down, talk to your employees, brainstorm, look at what options are available, and work out some of these workable options.
Yeah, totally agree. Sometimes you may be surprised that you have underutilized your capability of the employee. So it may surprise you when you come to a brainstorming session and new ideas can be just discovered from those discussions. So let's go to the next question. So I am a small engineering company stuck with a huge machinery and stuff. What do I cut? So of course, we understand that most of our participants right here in the group here, that a lot of them are come from manufacturing and machinery or equipment company. So the overhead cost of the machine list, it's a very heavy loading for them. So what do you think about that, Aru? Maybe we can hear from you first on this, since you have a good experience in Infineon, that you have a lot of machine that on lease as well in your previous employment.
Yeah. Now, I mean, the way this question has been posed to us, this company, from what I see, or what if I understand them correctly, this machine is not yet paid off. They're still paying the machine, so it's on lease. So now I know it's not easy. Now we have got two things to look at. The government has a couple of initiatives to assist companies financially. You could pick up some loans. In fact, government today, I lost count. When I look at materials after materials, announcement after announcements, there are so many initiatives by the government. Sometimes I'm lost. I say, wow.
It's overlapping sometimes.
Exactly, yeah, overlapping, yes, but I notice there's a lot. So what companies should do is try to explore, take advantage of some of these, loans or benefits, etc. Now, government has also given companies 6 months, reprieve from paying the loan deferment. So that I believe might be useful for companies with, outstanding loans, etc. Now, on the other hand,
installment, yeah, in a way.
yes, and on the other hand, there is a company that I met them a couple of weeks ago. What they have done is they have basically rented out their equipments to another company. So this is one way to defray your lease costs by renting out machines. I know it may not be possible in for all companies, but see whether you can lease out the equipment. As I said earlier, invite your employees, talk to them, get ideas from them. So I don't think I know not much of things can be done except for these few options. Of course, if you can sell the machines back, stop the lease, that is even better. But we know the vendor or the supplier may not even take it back. So look at these options. Uh, Tap onto the government funding. Look into leasing out your machines, renting out your machines. There could be another company who says that, hey, these guys have this machine. They're offering it to us to rent it at a very cheaper price. Go for it. Talk to your employees. Ask them, what can we do?
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, like I was sharing with you the other day that I heard some outsourcing option, yeah, that the company even help their employee to set up their own consulting firm to outsource the services. Like one of the example that I've seen before is that manufacturing company, when they first started off some new factories, they have some energy manager in-house. So then after they have set up the plant successfully and the production line been running smoothly, they find that they do not need the energy manager in-house anymore. So they help the energy manager to set up his energy consulting firm on his own. And he can start to, serve other of their competitor. They even let him to serve the rest of the industry player in the same industry instead of keeping him in-house at their overhead costs, isn't it? So there are many ways to do things. So let's move forward to the next question. As we can see on the screen here, so far we maintain all employees and no salary cut, but if really cannot sustain anymore, then no choice. Other than cut salary or cut staff, what are the options? Now, this is the capitalizing workforce question. So let's put this forward to Shafiq. So Shafiq, if you'd like to share with us, what are the options if they would like to sustain the business, but no salary cut?
Yeah, thanks, Joey. I would like to actually ask back this question that they have maintained all employees and no salary cut, but if really cannot sustain anymore, then no charge. Now, maintaining all the employees and no salary cut, have they also explored the possibility of not actually salary cut, maintaining employees, don't cut their salaries, but let them go on leave. I think for this company, the clear cut, because you have tried for some time, so the clear cut option is let them go on leave for some time while the condition or economic situation recovers. So you actually don't have you have actually not cut their salaries. You still have them in your payroll, but no doubt you're not paying anything for the moment. So let them go off and try to sustain themselves. Of course, they need to know the true situation. Let them go and do this. But on the other hand, Joey and our audiences, you can explore what they call the early retirement plan. This is not actually cutting employees. It is not also cutting salary, but it's just that it is giving employees who want to leave early the option to leave. So sometimes you may not have looked at this option. So instead of when you cut, when you downsize and you remove your employees, the morale will go down. So my idea in explaining this is you keep your morale intact. You tell your employees, those who want to take early retirement, please, this is your chance to go and do something else for yourself. And if in fact these employees being very experienced, they can actually be your future vendors. They can be your future customers because they know the industry very well. So this is an option that every company should explore, looking at early retirement, which is not actually a downsizing method. Yeah. So that's what I can suggest for this company.
Yeah, totally
Back to you,
agree.
Joey.
I mean, I've even seen that the organization talk to the workforce and say that, hey, we understand that it's impacted your incentive and whatnot or commission. So instead of having your incentive and the commission paid off as a regular routine, so you need to actually defer it. It's just like the bank deferment payment. They defer it for 3 months or 6 months so that it helped the company to really run into the cash
Yeah,
flow
yeah,
for the time being. So that's some of the option that we can look at for SME especially, which cash flow is the key. So yeah, thanks for the suggestion. So let's look at the next question that we have here. As an employee, if my employer is downsizing and is transferring me to a sister company, what are my options? Now, this is a very, very good question as per our earlier poll question number 2. So we asked them, what if a company is not doing well and then trying to transfer their people to the subsidiary or a sister company? So yeah, even if I were to take up the option of being transferred, I need to know what is the right that I deserve. So maybe we can hear it from Aru. Aru, what do you think on this question?
No. See, this is, I would say this is more of a happy problem.
Yeah,
Why? Because the employee is given an option to move on. Rather than losing a job, rather than being retrenched, the company is giving option to transfer them to a sister company. So what options this person have is either you accept the transfer or you decline the transfer. So that these are the two options that you have. But my urge to employees is think long term. It is also not easy to secure a job today. So if the company is offering you an alternative employment, go for it, even if it's a reduced pay. So it is important psychologically to keep ourselves engaged, during this moment. So earlier on, there was a question posed: what could companies do? Now, by creating new activities for companies, even if it does not pay well, look into the psychological aspect of the employees. It keeps them engaged. They don't wander and start worrying about what's next, etc. So for me, if I were given an option to move to a sister company, even at a reduced pay, I will go for it rather than me giving up my job, struggling to find a new job, which can go on for months and so on. So it's a happy problem. Go for it.
totally agree. Because sometimes it's the first question you should ask yourself is not that what you're entitled, it's what's your transferable skill set that you can move from your earlier company to the next company that you can contribute instead of asking, hey, what am I entitled? So it's a good thing to keep employed than to lose your job into the layoff force, isn't it, Aru? Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for your input. So now let's the next question that we have on screen is for companies to cut 70% or 80% of their employee salary, is it legal?
So
So
this question is for me.
Oh, okay. No, we have another question pop up. Okay, let's see.
Uh-huh.
We are small company with no subsidiary. I need my employees. They are all specialized in their respective role, but I cannot sustain anymore. Okay. So this tie back to the earlier discussion. So what is the transferable skill set? Because sometimes it's like what you mentioned. I mean, it's good that if they can bring forward what they have earned before in the previous company to the next subsidiary that they're going to go to. But what if they have no transferable skill set or there is no vacancy that open in the subsidiary? So what do you think, Shafiq, on this question?
Hey, Joey, thanks. I will go back to a point I made earlier. I understand many of us here are small companies, no subsidiaries. That structure is more for bigger companies. Yeah, truly understand. So this company, I need my employees. They are all specialized in their respective roles, but I cannot sustain anymore. Okay, when you say they are specialized in their respective roles, I get the impression that they are people who actually were highly skilled, and usually highly skilled people are people who learn fast, who has the interest to learn. Otherwise, they would not have reached the highly skilled status or highly skilled level. What I will want this small company to do is explore these possibilities with your employees, because many a times we think, sorry to say, I am also a small business owner. Many a times we think that we know best, but
Yes.
we don't realize that our employees actually have a wealth of knowledge. They can bring them together and they can give you many ideas. I give an example of an article that I read. I can't remember the exact name of the article, but it was a cost-cutting exercise where the CEO called four employees, four of his good employees, to tell them, look, I need you to explore within our company how we can cut 50,000 ringgit. 50,000 ringgit was the target given by the CEO to these four employees. But these four employees went on, looked through everything that there is in the company, what else they can cut, and they came up with 250, close to 250,000 ringgit that can be saved by the company. So what I'm trying to tell you is not to have, I'm not saying you should have this cost cuttings, get your employees and get them to suggest how to cut costs. What I'm saying is I'm going back to the idea of this exercise where bring your employees together. They can probably come up with ideas that you have never thought about. You know, I just share with you another one, if time permits. There is a theory called the iceberg of ignorance. Iceberg of ignorance. You know, the iceberg where much of it is below water. What you see only on top is only the smaller part.
And you're making assumption for what you don't know, yeah, or what you have not explored. So yeah.
Yeah. So the iceberg of ignorance, I will change it slightly to the iceberg of information, which says the information that you see is only so small. The information that you don't see can be harvested from your employees. So much of ideas and new strategies can come from them. So why not you try that? If you have not tried that, I would really recommend that this company, your small company, no doubt, but you have very good employees there, yeah, because being specialized in their role. So please look at this option and see how it goes.
Thanks, Shafiq, for the suggestion. I think it's a brilliant idea. So yeah, let's move forward for the next question that we have here on the screen. Okay, so most of the discussion today is more referring to big companies. For small companies, what is best thing to do? We don't have budget or a sister company. So yeah, I understand that the challenge for SME is that, either you cut people today, you can survive for another month or two, or if you keep them, you cannot even pay for their salary for the next month. So that is a very critical thing that happening for SME majority in the reality right now. So what do you think, Aru?
In the last couple of months, I consult companies, when it comes to downsizing, etc. There are companies who don't even have money to pay for retrenchment. When you retrench an employee, you have to there's some money that has got to be paid to the employee. So they don't even have money to, go for retrenchment. So I think this question, I would like to tie to the much earlier question. Now, if a company do not want to downsize, they love their employees so much. These are, people that they have been with, for the last many years, etc. So, myself and Shafiq have mentioned 2 or 3 times, get your employees together because, there's always this notion, 2 brains are better than 1, 3 heads are better than 2. Bring your employees together, sit down, talk to them. Now, apart from just asking them ideas, how can we cut costs? Also ask them, what else can we do? Can we pivot into a new business? So a lot of companies today, pivot means you try something new. Let me give you a real example I've seen. Now, the place that I come from, there is a car mechanic, a small business. He runs a car workshop. What he has done today, he has actually opened up a small section next to his car service workshop. He now washes car. So he has pivot. I mean, he did not pivot entirely. He still maintains his car workshop business, but he has opened a car wash next to his car workshop. So what he does is, the same workers will car wash. They also repair cars. Whenever there's no car, they're washing. Whenever there's no washing, they're. So what he has done is, he has created a new activity using his current workforce. So what I'm saying is, bring your employees together, talk to them. What else can be done? How can we cut costs? what else can we do? Can we pivot into a new business? Can we diversify what we are doing today? So these are the two things that I feel companies should do immediately if they've not done so.
Totally agree. I mean, we read from the news, even being a big company like Top Glove, they've been so successful in the manufacturing glove. They are actually diversifying into manufacture face masks, as you can see. So it's about how fast enough that you can actually cater to what the market needed, or what are the options or variables that your company have not capitalized as yet, isn't it, Aru? So
Yes.
totally agree. So now let's move forward to the next question. For companies to cut 70% or 80% of their employees' salaries, is it legal? Is it legal to pay an employee below the minimum wage due to this pandemic? Now, that is a very good question. As we understand, the minimum wage right now is 1,002 per month. So now people were afraid that if I were to just saying it's easy, if I were to cut salary, would they actually launch a IR case, or they actually sue the company? So I end up paying even more, I end up paying like a couple of months of their salary instead of saving costs. So what do you think, Shafiq, on this question?
Okay, Joey, thanks. So in a normal situation, cutting employees' salaries without any reason, without any good reason, is surely against the law. So you usually it's because of disciplinary action or performance issues, where after the domestic inquiry and so on, they decided that the decision is a cut in salary or demotion, those kind of things. However, even that will not go to 70 or 80%, in a normal circumstance.
Yeah.
But we are not in the normal situation now. We are in the abnormal, the whole topic of our discussion. The abnormal is here, and we don't know when this abnormal will end. So to go to 70 or 80% seems a bit tough for the employee. Is like almost not taking back anything.
It's a big chunk.
But
I would say 70,
yeah,
80 is huge
yeah,
for some.
it's a too huge a sum. You leave them with very little to do anything else. Okay, but if you tell them that you have no choice, the option is to keep them on your payroll, but to give them a 70 to 80% reduction now over maybe 2 3 months. You cannot tell them it's over an indefinite period. You need to give them some confidence. Tell them it's okay, we will do this for 3 months, and we will review the situation at the end of the third month. If things are getting better, we will readjust your salary. You must always have that comforting factor for your employees. And then if you tell them the whole story, they probably will be able to accept. But you cannot keep it going for too long, because as I said, 70 80 is very low. Sorry, such a huge cut. The other option would be, you can let them, encourage them to take up some part-time jobs, which definitely you have to, if you're going to cut to 70 80, they have to take this part-time job. And asking about whether it is legal, of course, it is not legal to pay somebody below the minimum wage, but actually you are not reducing the salary technically per se. If they're earning 1.5, they're still getting 1.5, but you are cutting it down in this very difficult situation to keep everybody going. But remember, when you cut 70%, the whole organization must seem like an organization which is in a huge austerity drive. So you're no longer having a lavish things to spend, company cars here and there. The whole picture must show it's a 70% or 80%. Then probably employees will agree, they will not complain, and as soon as the situation comes back, you just reinstate the salary back to the normal. And what more, if you have money, then you pay them back what you have cut before. Why not?
Yeah, I think
So
the winning keyword here is transparency of information in a way.
Right.
As in, nobody like to have the indefinite pay cut, right? Because
Correct.
it's like,
Correct.
wow, you have my pay cut, but I don't know for how long. So it's a situation that everyone would disagree, yeah, in a way.
Right.
However, if you were to pre-inform them, okay, we actually put it for 3 months, could be stretchable to 4 months. It depends on the situation. And in the 3 month cycle, you actually review it. So it's a fair deal that people would like to keep their job going instead of losing the pay forever, isn't it? So yeah, I mean, thanks for the input. So yeah, let's go to the next question. If we quickly go down the list, for companies to cut, okay, so if I cut salary by 70%, wouldn't it affect morale and performance? Is it really a better option than retrenchment? So I think Shafiq have answered this question already. So maybe we can go to the next question. For companies to cut 70 to, okay, this is already
This is
done.
the one I answered.
Yeah. So
can I add on this question? Can I just
sure.
yeah.
Sure.
Now see, always take a safer approach. Now we know that minimum wage requires a company to pay 1,002. So if a company is going to cut salary below 1,002, one hand we comply with the regulations about reduction of salary. We inform labor office. We submit what is called a borang PK. Submit to labor office. We go for retrenchment. Sorry, we cut down salary. But on the other hand, we might be having issues with the minimum retirement age law. So my suggestion to companies, if you need to cut so low as low as 80%, write to the labor office, get their feedback or consent. At least you are protected at that end. But as what Shafi has mentioned, 80% cut, leaving the employee with 20% is nothing much. So really think twice whether you really need to keep them or it is best to let them go. But when business recover, you rehire them again. So at least
that's a very good point, Aru, as in,
Yep.
According to your experience that you have seen before or some real life example, what is the general amount that the percentage that they cut in the market right now instead of 70%? I mean, we all agree 70 to 80
yeah.
is way too high a cut. So
Yep.
what is the general practice, as you can see most people have been doing?
I have discussed with companies, I've consulted companies 20%, 30%, 40%. We know an airline cut 70%. But you see, it also goes back to salary. If the employee's salary is 10,000, you cut 70%, he or she still have 3,000 in hand. But if the person's salary is 2,000 and you cut 70%, which is which is almost 1,400, that's a lot of money. Leaving this guy with only 600 ringgit, barely enough to pay for his car loan.
Yeah.
So what I think companies should do is be a responsible employer. Now, we all know, I mean, if I'm an employee, if my boss tells me that, Arul, look here, I cannot continue any further, I can understand. I mean, we know that COVID is not a self-induced problem. It's a problem, I would say it's act of God. So it is not a problem created by men. So be upfront to your employees, explain to them, tell them that, I cannot afford to pay you anymore. Yes, I can pay you 20%, but I know it is not fair to pay you 20%. As such, can I lay you off now? Or, we keep our employer-employee relationship as what it is, but why not I give you, I temporarily lay off. There's another mechanism to temporarily lay off someone, let's say for next 3 months to 6 months. So during this period, go and do whatever business you can or whatever activities you can, earn some extra money. Now, if there is a way I can do, I can give you a certain responsibility, I can also pay the extra 300-400 that you're going to pay. So meaning, so this employee, you reduce the pay, you're paying him 20%, at the same time, he can do other job. So this sum plus that sum, maybe it's decent enough for him to put food on the table.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a real life example that a company have laid off the sales team, 5 of them. They even refer business for them to do, after they have retrenched the stuff. So they say, okay, as a salesperson, we suggest that you can actually contact these people if they need your services. So, it's sometimes it's how do you not burn your bridges at the end of the day as the employer, instead of, just doing it in the harsh way that let people go, isn't it, Aru? Is that what you mean?
Correct. Yeah,
Right.
let me also share another example. It may not be a relevant example to many, but just look at the concept behind it. So a lot of training providers, these are also small businesses, one-man show, two-man show training providers. In the past, they used to do training face-to-face. Per day, they charge a client 3,000, 4,000, or 5,000 ringgit.
Mhm.
Now, there are many providers today, they have gone online. They offer cheaper trainings, for example, 80 ringgit per person for 2 hours, but they go on volume.
Yeah.
So actually there are many ideas companies could adopt. It is just that we are not thinking. So if we can, invite some friends over or invite your employees, sit down and talk to them, what can we do today? Because if we can do something today, I can save the company. I can help to save your job. You can help to save your job. You can help to save the company.
Yeah, being
So
creative is how we actually live up to the new normal right now. Is that what you want to say?
yes,
Yeah,
exactly. So
totally
we
agree.
just have to dig further, think further. What else can be done? So don't give up just yet.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, a lot of people have been thinking, okay, this is already the date end. This is the end of the business. I can't do anything. I'm giving up. So it's time to ask yourself, have you think deep enough of other options like what you mentioned and suggested? So I think it's a brilliant way to actually mention it. I mean, thanks, Aru. That's a really good sharing. So now the next question that we have is parent company allowed to just transfer the stuff? Well, this is a very, very good question, because you see, some people assume that the parent company and the subsidiary may run the same nature of business. Now that is untrue, because the parent company can run a totally different line of business at the end of the day compared to the subsidiary. So, even if I'm being transferred to a subsidy, I may have not relevant skill at all to perform in the new subsidy. So what do you think, Shafiq, on this?
Okay, thanks, Joey. Okay, usually it depends on what is stated in the employee's letter of offer. Nowadays, when large companies with subsidiaries, with sister companies, it is very common for them to include a clause in the letter of offer which says the company reserves the right to transfer you to any other operations within the group of companies. So the company may exercise this right at any time. So just to basically answer this question, yes, the justification to transfer staff is the right of the parent company. They can do it, because they may find that they have excess people, and the other side may be looking for people. So that is a really a good reason for you to move and still keep your job. Whereas in your current sister company, that role you may be doing, or that department or that section may be no longer operating. So what do you do? What can you do? So the logical thing would be move you to a sister company, uh, which actually can take you in, and at the same time you keep your job. At the same time, usually you keep your seniority, you keep your years of experience. Nothing changes. It's just as if you join the same company from the day you join. So
That's the best
so you
case
you
scenario, like if that
yeah,
happened.
yeah, you
Yeah.
should. I believe you should take it. However, Joey, if it's really a difficult one, if you are a trained, say you're a trained biologist, working in one section, and you've been asked to go to another sister company as under the engineering firm, engineering section, which is totally different from what you have, and it's going to be very different. That's not your career aspirations. It's going to be
Mhm.
totally different.
Yeah.
You may not want to go, and in some cases, people just file for constructive dismissal in this kind of cases, because they say the company is taking advantage of me, or not giving me due respect, and trying to make life difficult for me. So they transfer me to uh, this side, from
Mm.
a biomedical staff, biologist, to engineering, purely different. So again, it depends on what is the reason for this transfer to happen. If it is really genuine for the purpose of letting this employee continue with employment in the group of companies, then they are much allowed, and especially so if it is stated in the letter of offer.
Yeah, totally agree. Okay, thanks a lot, gentlemen. So I think we have a lovely discussion today, and it's really very, very fruitful. So to end tonight's session, if anyone have missed out any question to ask, or you have yet to think of any question, but you have some question later, so please send us the question. Now, we will actually flash out the email for both the speaker and myself. If you can look at the screen right now, now we will post this video on the YouTube right now. You can watch it over again after this event to refer some of the point if you miss out, or if you'd like to know more idea how to do things in the right way in letting your people go or keeping your people in different creative way. So please feel free to send us the question. Now, we will have our IT team to post our email address on screen right now if the IT team is working on it right now. And we would like to announce, so that's the email address. The first one is for Chucky, second one is for Abu, and the third one is my email address. So I repeat again. So we've got 3 email addresses here. First one is Shafiq email. Second one is Aru email. And the third one is my email. If you have any question, please feel free. We're more than happy to assist you in attaining your HR questions further. And to end this session, I would like to announce that we have another Mandarin session on the same topic on the date of 25th of August, 9 p.m. as well, the same time, where my fellow moderator, Mr. C.T. Chan, will be coming on with another panel of speakers. But it's a very identical topic on the HR battle. So thanks, gentlemen, for a lovely evening and the notes that you have shared. It's very useful and valuable. I wish everyone have learned something and gained from this session. And please put a big hand together for our speaker for a job well done. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you as well.
Thank you, Joey. Thank you, Arul.
Thank you.
Thanks to the organization, the organizing team as well, which is MTE, Samantha, SIAA, Mata, and Ignaces. Thank you very much. Good night.
Good night.